Welcome back, this is Goku's son, the TBZ, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a show/review for this, even though I've already reviewed the past issue 1 of Spawn. This is a special, of course, as you see, 3 different covers. Sorry, it seems like I'm having difficulty with the camera. Now, whatever, with this piece of crap. Anyways, with that said, and I thought perfect time with the lightning and thunder. So let's get started. I'm going to be, as I said, this is special edition director's cut, 25th anniversary edition of the first issue of Spawn ever done. Hard to believe. Of course, there's always beautiful artwork. Okay, let's get the music. Try to use pipe organ type music and stuff I thought would be suitable. And here we see even some writing here. Book, Spawn, issue number 1, cover. Of course, black and white classic. With all your basic information. The original cover of issue 1. And it has your Spawn number 1. It says here, I was looking for a design that was simple because to me the books that stand out the most are the ones with a simple cover. I wanted a logo that was easily recognizable. So I sat with Tom, who's been lettering the books since inception. I gave him an update design of the original Spawn logo I created when I was 16 years old. I knew I wanted to keep the skull in the middle of the A. And still, the logo you see today on the cover of Spawn, as an artist, you should establish your logo and brand before you get too artistic with it. That's some actually really good stuff to state. And it says here inside, front cover. It was important to me to dedicate my first issue to Jack Kirby because I considered him to be the king of all comic artists, and still do. I thought that since we were starting something new, I'd tip the hat to the guy who I thought had the biggest career of all of us. First, we see the classic here. I don't belong. The bet was rigged. He made me believe. Now there's darkness in my soul. I want to die again. And this is cool. It actually makes it look like the draft of the original comic, because it uses the same design lines and everything, which is why this is called director's cut, because it has all these special little details and stuff of how the original draft would have looked. But I chose to come back. And of course we see here CNN telling news and stuff, and that's supposed to be Wanda, of course. I was introducing a new character and I didn't want to spoil any of it. I was just trying to see it from the perspective of a new reader, seeing the first page of a new comic. People knew me from my career on Spider-Man, Hulk, Batman, But for Spawn, I wanted to make sure my introduction was going to be big and powerful. For the art to pull back, because I knew Spawn was going to be dealing with things like heaven and hell and other big universal topics. So I started with outside view of Earth, and then started to pull you in closer to the scene. It's interesting how it gives detail on each page here. I'm going to try to give up some close-ups, so for instance if you want to pause this video, that way you can read it for yourself, everything. And hopefully this isn't too hard to read. It is fascinating though, seeing all this information and this commentary from Todd McFarlane. I remember 3 was someone... I remember there was someone to love, someone to hate. Something special and proud of it for a time. I remember dying. And her, oh God, she's so beautiful. And there we see Malebolgia, the devil, if you will, or one of the many devils. Though there is a main devil, Satan. But Malebolgia is like over the 9th realm of hell. If you want to know more about, say, the realms of hell and that viewpoint on things, I recommend to look into Catholicism, if you want to know more about these particular things. To understand better the story arc of Spawn, you really need to do some research in theology studies, which Todd obviously paid attention to. I had to. All I could think of was her. So I promised, and he accepted, all because of her. Damn his lies. He accepted the deal on his terms, his rules, his way. And somewhere in time, he bust a gut laughing. This page gives you a quick flashback of what happened to Al Simmons. It needed to be simplistic, so the layout is 9 equal boxes. What I call a grab pattern. The story went quickly into his origin without getting bogged down by it. Many people could learn from Todd McFarlane's style of things, and his artwork was always great. And so made copycats of Todd in the 90s. It says here, the grid gusts into the hourglass design and introduce the power meter. This is where I stopped being bland and really got into artistic stuff. People were expecting from me based off of the artwork they'd seen in Spider-Man, which is incredible. The many 32 issues of Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man he did, which I recommend you check out in the Todd McFarlane collection. And he shows here the basis with the time meter, which does count down, of course. Yeah, he gave me power, but he robbed me of my memories. I can just find her, then I'll know what this is about. But I can't even remember who she is. None of this makes any sense. A handful of images darting in my mind. That's it. That's all I have. My life. I feel I can do anything at all with my power, but why can't I remember? I wanted to unveil Spawn. I knew this was going to be an iconic moment in Spawn's mythology and wanted to seize the opportunity for an epic reveal. Of course, he takes here a little bit. This is the full page shot of Spawn, but it's an international close-up, so you don't get him in all his glory yet. I also wanted to introduce the counter at the top of this page as his tank of gas, his power meter. He mentions that he started thinking of Spawn when he was 16 years old, when he was in high school. And we see this awesome 2-page, I'm going to find him, the one who framed me. Okay, Twitch, let's try this one more time. You're telling me that somebody threw Carlo from a window. Through a window, sir? Through a window on 34th floor. 44th, sir. And he wasn't killed by the fall. No, sir. It was his heart. Heart failure? You might say that, sir. It was removed. Removed? Yes, sir. It was stuffed in his mouth. Twitch, yes, sir. We got 3 dead hitmen in the last 48 hours. And you're trying to tell me, trying to be a comedian? I don't need that. Boys, looks like she's got enough for all of us. Fortunately, I get first dibs. No, please don't. And he's saying, they're trying to rape her. He's saying, shut up, biatch. I say that instead of the actual word. Back off, guys. I got me an idea. Let's see how loud the tramp can scream after I cut out her tongue. I want a closer look while the body's still warm. Get out now, or you're all dead. What the hell? Hey, looks like one of them young bloods. Who cares? Check this out, guys. And he talks about this. This scene is to set up that is going on to come into play in the next issue or two as an introduced Spawn's arc villain. It also allowed me to introduce 2 new characters who would be in the entire run of the comic book, Sam and Twitch. They were born in issue 1 and have been around ever since. They've gone on to have their spin-off comic series a few times and hopefully a new TV series coming soon. Okay. But here's some of the info if you're wanting to know a little bit more from like page 11 and 12. I'm gonna carve me a super. Bad idea. Now, who's next? You crazy MF? Nobody jerks with me. Fat boy, you're way out of your league. Please don't all do what you want. They're gone. You needed to be afraid. Not again. And of course we see a little bit more info here. This page is me moving the story along quickly and adding a little comic book fighting action. In the process, one guy threatens Spawn and Spawn just grabs him and throws him out of the window. On this page, Spawn is left with the woman after she's been attacked. I was playing with the lettering again, used balloons and letter sizes to show that she's out of breath. At the moment he sees the female, it triggers something about his prior wife, Wanda. It snaps him into a quick flashback, so he starts to freak out a little bit. Once again, our mind explodes with a searing pain. A floodgate of memories bursts wide, yet it is her face that keeps haunting you, always her face. Who is she? And we see here like a little bit of like a webbing, which is interesting. But your soul lives while hers is dying. Hey, come on, it's okay. You're alright. It's all over now. This page begins my introduction into Spawn's origin story. I wanted to make sure I gave enough background as to why this character exits. The reason he's back is because of the woman he loves, Wanda, and more importantly that he died. It's a shocking moment for him to realize that the panel with shattering represents him coming back to reality, and the end of the flashback that he just experienced. I thought it would be interesting to flip the roles of who is being saved. Here, instead of Spawn being the hero and comforting the victim, she ends up comforting him. This is another introduction to the reporter page. It was good for me to do some backfill and explanation to give the reader a broader picture of the world that I was creating for those characters. So beautiful, but who is she? Why do I keep she's my wife. I have a wife, but I can't remember anything else. I don't know what her name is. Her eyes. I let my mercy take over too quickly. Got too caught up in the damn costume. I'm no hero. It's just that everything is so different what happened to the last 5 years. I've started here not knowing what's going on. I know I'm alive, but I can't feel it. Only thing I feel is this damn costume. Got to get off. Get away from it. My face felt like... Jesus, what am I? What am I? And we see Twitch and them, of course, back, and the time clock counting down. Page 19. Spawn is back in the alley. He just wants to get away from everyone and try and sort through. He is experiencing at this point. He doesn't realize it's been 5 years since he died. But that will be the next issue. Spawn pulls off the mask and glove. He has startling realization that he's not who he once was. Spawn, yes, expecting he'd be normal, but then quickly realizes he's a monster. The power meter is placed on the page to show that Spawn has lost some power. It was at 9999 at the beginning of the book, and now it's down to 9995. He used 4 units of power. By having it count down, I wanted to convey that his power is limited resources, so he needs to use it wisely. Like I said, it's a hellish town. Simmons, if you think you've got problems now, I promise your troubles have just begun. Next issue, The Violator. Page 22 again. I asked Tom to have some with the lettering because this was the first introduction to Malebolgia, a devil who created Spawn, the Spawn costume, the symbiotes, and the Violators, so I wanted it with a big impact and be memorable. At the end of the issue, in this last panel, is a teaser for the Violator who appears in issue 2. He's a pretty nasty dude, but at first he looks silly, but as the story progressed, the scarier he becomes. Another interesting part of the creative process of this issue, and many others, is that when I was drawing the page, I physically laid them out on the ground because I hadn't quite fleshed out the story yet. I was moving pages around and sorting them out. I didn't know if I wanted to show Sam and Twitch before or after Al's rescue of the woman and saved, or even when Al is in the alley. I wasn't sure if I should have introduced them at all in the first issue. I found that I was all about timing and finding the right place for them. But in the end, I had a deadline to meet, so I had to stop laminating, or rather debating about decisions, and just make them. One of my favorite artists as a kid was George Pers, make sure I say that correctly. So when he did a pinup for me, I was ecstatic. Years later, I also got him to do a pinup for me when it was issue 101, which was pretty cool. And this is actually the original design of Spawn, coming in May 1992 from Image Comics and Malibu Comics. That is an awesome design right there. Classic with the black and white. And I hope you actually enjoy this little bit more detailed type review from the issue 1 of Spawn, the director's cut. And I hope you enjoyed the music I chose. Combination metal with pipe organ music and the background rain and thunder. I thought it was the perfect time to do this review with the perfect elements to match in with Spawn. Anyways, I'll see you all next time here in YouTube land. And I'll see you next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. And leave a comment and tell me if you want me to do more Spawn reviews. And possibly future info and things about Todd McFarlane, my personal favorite artist of all time. I'll see you soon enough though here in YouTube land. Have a good weekend everyone and a good rest of May.